We have a very, very special guest joining us right here in Business Tonight on ET Now. Senior leader of the party, one of the main architects as far as the AAP's ideology is concerned, Yogendra Yadav joins us right here in Business Tonight. Thanks very much for being with us, Mr. Yadav. Congratulations to you. The first and the very obvious question is that you've been a poll sir all your life. Has this verdict, however, surpassed any expectations? Nobody was attributing this stunning performance to you.
It indeed has. As you know, for the last 2 weeks I have been saying somewhat unsuccessfully to everyone that we are not looking simply at a lead or a victory, that we are looking at a wave. We did actually a press conference where we said we were ahead by 13 or 14 percentage points, that we should get at least 51 seats, that it could actually go up to 57. But to be honest, I did not expect crossing 60. So yes, it's overwhelming, it is very big, and with such an overwhelming victory comes a sense of enormous responsibility. Arvind Kejriwal said, it's scary. Yes, it's scary because it brings a burden of expectations, hopes, and nothing is heavier than the burden of hope.
Burden of expectation. You said it right. To take a cue from your answer, then, so the expectations are enormous from the Aam Aadmi Party, given the nature of the mandate. How are you going to, meet some of the promises that you've kept, which seem, pretty unrealistic at this stage?
I don't know. The impression went around that we made some large, tall, impossible promises. And I kept asking everyone, show me which one of them is impossible, which one of them is contradictory, which one of them cannot be achieved in 5 years. These are things which require a lot of hard work, I agree. These things haven't happened for a long time, I agree. But a government which is dedicated, which has a team, which is focused on this, can indeed achieve it. So we would get about doing it, and in all fairness you would concede that we are the only political party which provided a detailed blueprint of governance, because in the Lok Sabha election we faced a question. The question was, you people are honest, you are courageous, but can you govern? And in the last 3 months, that's what we've tried to answer with a blueprint, with white papers, with detailed action plan. There is a team of some of the best experts who has been advising Arvind. We have that ready, and we'll try and put that in operation.
Mr. Yadav, there is some amount of nervousness in markets and in corporate India, given the 49-day track record of the Aam Aadmi Party when it was in power in Delhi. Can you make the transition from being, can Arvind Kejriwal specifically as the Chief Minister make the transition from being an aggressive agitator to an efficient administrator?
I know this was the judgment of the market. And I thought market might wish to change its judgment. At least ordinary people of Delhi, ordinary traders of Delhi, ordinary businessmen of Delhi, ordinary entrepreneurs of Delhi have indeed changed their mind. They do not think of this as a failed experiment in administration. I would just wish to remind you that a government in any part of a country like India has to cater to a very large cross-section of people, which includes an overwhelming proportion of the poor and the very poor, overwhelming proportion of those who are denied basic facilities in life. And in order to address that, you have to provide for some basic welfare, and you have to promote entrepreneurship, you have to increase the size of the pie itself. And a government like our government will have to act on both the fronts simultaneously. I do not see why this should be seen to be contradictory. I do not see why a government that seeks to address the requirements of the poor should be assumed to be anti-enterprise, anti-industry, anti-business. We said nothing of that kind. People assume that class politics comes with ideology of class struggle. That was the 20th century package. That is not what we are saying. There is a class angle to what we have done, which is to say there is an overwhelming support from the poor and the very poor. But this does not come with the agenda of class struggle. We've made it amply clear. Probably people fail to read. We hope to convince them.
I'm glad you're conceding at least this is class politics but not class economics. But Mr. Yadav, you're known to be frank. Will you concede that the Aam Aadmi Party has done a very poor job of articulating its economic ideology, and which is why so many misconceptions? And will you at this stage Now that you are at the cusp of taking power here, will you at this stage clarify on your economic stance? Will you be pro-market? Will you be pro-reforms, pro-business? Would you exemplify on some of that this evening?
The trouble is that, people already have pre-formatted answers and they want us to check one of the boxes. One box, as you said, is pro-market, pro-reform, pro-business. The other box is anti-globalization, privatization, liberalization. I would wish to humbly submit that we don't need to check one of those boxes. We need to break each of these things down to specific governance challenges. We have indeed spelled out what we would do in Delhi when we come to power in terms of our economic policy. What we have not done is to embrace one of the isms. And I suspect that is precisely the direction in which we need to move. Those 20th century ideology which said that all market is bunkum, or the ideology that said market would solve everything, those things are matters of 20th century. We left it behind. Markets are here to stay, and state regulation and intervention is also here to stay. We have to look at a combination. So I really would urge the leftists and the rightists to give up their 20th century ideologies and look firmly at the 21st century.
All right, let's go on to the last answer we have from you, Mr. Yadav. And before we let you go, for all practical purposes, you do have a foothold in Indian politics now. I'm tempted to ask you, will Bihar be the next destination? Will that be the next stop? The verdict has certainly galvanized the anti-BJP parties, and which is why my question.
I would call it a toehold, not a foothold yet. Neil Armstrong, when he stepped on the moon, he said, small step for a human being and a leap for mankind. I would invert it and say, what we have today is a leap for a small party, but a very small step indeed in the direction where we wish to go, namely to have alternative politics in this country. We have a long, long way to go. We have just obtained a toehold, and I would not wish to hype it the manner in which it was hyped last time.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.